Hey guys, welcome to Wealth Wisdom Financial Podcast YouTube channel. You guys are going to love this episode because I know you guys love spreadsheets. And if you are listening just audio version, we'll try and explain what we're talking about, but you might want to go to the YouTube version for this. So today I get the pleasure of interviewing not just a client. He is a client of ours. He's also a friend of ours and a former neighbor. We met literally. I think he was doing squats down the street from us because it was right after COVID and everybody was outside. I bought my house March 13th of 2020 and met him on the street. And then I told him what I did. He had moved away and then came and found me a little bit later. So it's kind of, hilarious how that stuff works. But what I love about this guy's his name is Mickey Curd. He's a graduate of the University of Mount Union as a bachelor's in business administration, a BA, 25 years of management experience in logistics and support services. So he's educated. He's been all over the Midwest. But here's what I love. He is not just a talk about real estate. He owns a lot of properties. He began his real estate investing in 2018, and he's grown his portfolio from 2 properties to 38 units over the past 5 years. So he owns 6 fourplexes, 2 duplexes, 10 single family homes. Now, here's the thing I hear. Oftentimes, I talk to clients all the time and they say, I want to do this. And they never actually do it. But literally, as I've worked with them, I've seen him, go from 2 to 38, right? Properties. That's just amazing. And most of his real estate is in Youngstown, Ohio. And he also has Airbnbs. And he also manages some other properties. He left his job in January of 2024 to focus on real estate investing full time. I remember actually having this conversation a lot with him. When was the good time to make the transition? And what else has he done? And he also has his real estate license. So this guy has a lot of stuff, a lot of knowledge to share. And so, Mickey, welcome to our show. I'm excited to have you on here, not just because we're good friends and that you own the policies, but you've actually done some amazing stuff in the past 3 to 5 years. And to see your journey going from 2 properties to, what do we say, 38 properties, and how you've been able to manage that and make a transition. I don't know how many financial people, or not financial people, but clients I talk to that want to quit their job and do real estate full time, and a lot of times don't have a roadmap. You created your roadmap. I know you were questioning yourself along the way many times, and we were like, "No, you got it. You got this. You have the numbers." And so today, I want you to run the show. How you've went from velocity banking to infinite banking, and how you basically have moved from 2 deals to 38 and done it successfully. Those are the topics I want to talk about today. But anything you want to say before we go into all these spreadsheets?
Yeah, so thank you for having me. If I do recall, during COVID, everything shut down. I believe it was March 17th. And that was the last day that the gym was open, because I remember being at the gym, and that was the last time. And so I think a couple of days later, you saw me because I was in the driveway teaching myself how to skip rope.
I moved in Friday the 13th when things started shutting down, and I was moving in with a big truck on March 13th, and then I met all my neighbors who were all outside because they couldn't go to the gym. Right. So then we're walking around getting a lay of the land. and you meet your neighbors when you can't do anything else, and your house is all boxed up.
Right.
So, yeah. And then we met. We talked about. I know you were very familiar with velocity banking, and you probably kind of heard infinite banking. So take me to that Wayback Machine, to those COVID days, and we were having this conversation about infinite banking. You had heard about velocity banking, and then I think you found me and Denzel on a podcast or something like that.
Yeah. So velocity is what I looked at first, and Denzel Rodriguez is who I was watching. So I watched countless hours of him on the whiteboard, basically preaching that you have to understand your numbers and the flow of money. And when we met, I remember you gave me your card and we had a conversation or two, but I did not put two and two together. I wasn't understanding what it is that you did. And I didn't realize it, I think, until a year later when I moved away. And at that point, I had been practicing the velocity for about a year. And for some reason, I found your card in my desk drawer. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is what Brandon was talking about. And so that's what prompted me to give you a call a year later. Yeah. And that's how this whole process started with the policies.
Now, for our listeners, if they've never heard of velocity banking, what is it? How does that work? And why would somebody think about that kind of system?
Very simply put, it's just your flow of money. It's understanding all of your revenue in, which is your income, and all of your expenses and your bills that go out. And the difference between those two is your cash flow.
Yeah.
And velocity banking is the concept of using that cash flow to either pay down a mortgage, pay down a loan, or use that cash for savings. And so the concept can be used only if you understand where your numbers are, what they are. Yeah. You have to know almost to the dollar how much is being spent and how much is going to come in, or how much is going to be brought in, and that your difference is going to be your cash flow.
So not everybody should be doing velocity banking. If you're not a numbers person or understanding how banks work, is that what you're saying? Like sometimes understanding the numbers is really important.
I would argue that everyone has to understand them. And I would say the majority of people probably do not.
Yeah.
And I would even argue that they probably don't because they don't want to know.
Has velocity banking, that concept, has it changed over the past couple of years due to interest rates changing? Has that adjusted for you? Where have you seen it kind of break down or gotten better over the past couple of years?
So that's a great question. So the personal line of credit that I use for this, the interest rate is about 16%. So it's not that much different from a credit card. And so if you're doing the concept properly, basically that 16% is basically a cost of doing the business.
Yeah.
So for me, on average, it works out to be maybe about $85 to $90 a month of interest, because you're only being charged interest on the daily balance. And that daily balance is going to fluctuate based upon your banking activity. So at the beginning of the month, when money is coming in, your balance is going to be low. And then towards the middle of the month, you start paying bills, the balance is going to be higher. Therefore, your interest rate is going to be higher. So it's just understanding the daily amount that you have. And so by mapping it all out, you can dictate pretty much what your daily rate is going to be.
Yeah. Now, for our listeners, you're going to be open and transparent here and share your real numbers. Now, as you guys listen, there's always rooms for improvement. And this is one of those things where I'm like, sharing these kind of things is being vulnerable and open, right? And saying, this is what's worked for me. Now, understanding your numbers, what Mickey just said is really important. From a business, this is why I love Profit First. This is why I love the policies, is because it helps me have a good framework. And if you understand how velocity banking works and you understand interest, the way it's you can use the banks to your benefit. So walk us through one of these spreadsheets, how you track, because you just said, I track everything. A lot of people don't like to track anything, but you do. And that's an important thing to do, especially if you want to go from 2 properties to 32 properties, right? You had a goal, right? Your goal was to leave your W-2 job to be able to do this. So what is this? I know we're not on the screen, but this is a big Excel sheet. What's happening here?
Yep. So I'm going to walk you through this as of where we are today. So
this is real time numbers on he has 32 properties, right? So we're managing a lot.
Yes. So this column over here, column B, this is going to be the date.
Mm-hmm.
Column C is the type of transaction. Column D is going to be the deposit, meaning that is money that is coming in. Column E is going to be withdrawals. So that's money that's going to be spent and going out. Column F is the interest payment that's going to be paid. And column G is the line of credit balance on that day. Okay. So as of today, I have a balance of $5,799.04. And so everything in white above are transactions that have already occurred. And every transaction that's color coded down below are fixed transactions that are going to occur at some point in the future. And these are easily trackable because I have rents that come in and I have mortgages that go out and I have particular bills that go out. So I can forecast what's going to happen. Now, of course, I'm not going to know absolutely everything because these things do change daily, but this does give me an idea of where I'm going to be all the way out, as far out as May 1st, 2026. So the negative number that you see means that there's a surplus of cash.
So negative is good in this case.
Negative is definitely good. And your positive number, the higher that number is, means that's the higher the balance is. And so just for reference, I'm going to go up to the top. I've been practicing this since May 27th, 2020. And the first experiment that I did a test transaction just because I studied this and I watched it, but then I wanted to put it into play. And so here's how I did it. So I had a car loan for $10,733.85 that I was paying, I believe it was about $525 a month on. So I took $10,000 out of my line of credit and I paid that car off just like that. So as you can see here, the balance on that day, May 29th, 2020, was $10,793.85.
Yeah, went up.
And as the month went on, the month of June, deposits went in, meaning at this point, I had a couple houses and I had my W-2 job. So income was going in, withdrawals were going out. And then as you can see, that $10,000 balance, I was able to get all the way down almost to zero on January 17th, 2020. And then it just started from there. And so literally, I've tracked 100% of every transaction I've made for the last 5 years.
And then that was January of 2020. When did you start it? This was
May 27th of 2020.
Yeah. So you started in the height of COVID.
Correct.
Right.
Because at that point in time, there wasn't a lot going on other than going back and forth to work. Everything was closed. And so I immersed myself into studying this.
Yeah.
Watching Denzel, because he was he put things in simple terms on that whiteboard and showed it with real numbers. That's why I feel like showing this is beneficial, because you can actually see, and you can just see over time the balance goes down, and then you can see it goes up and it goes down. And then I've actually made chunk payments here of mortgages that I did. So I actually did it right here. So I actually paid off a house. I had I think a $39,000 balance. I think right here, I did a $6,000 chunk, then a $10,000 chunk. And again, you're only right here. It's December 25th of 2021.
Yeah.
And then I made another chunk January 8th of 2021. And I paid this house off. I paid off $39,000 within 90 days. And my balance was only up to here, 13,000.
So you were able to, again, by using the system, I mean, again, you had the job, the W-2 job that helped. You're really setting yourself up to eventually leave your job, right? Those were things that was your goal, right?
So if you see here, so 6,000, 10,000, 10,000, and the final payment was right here, 9,000. I literally paid off a property within about 4 months.
Yeah. We've been doing it. You've tracked it. And then how many properties was it at that point in time?
So at that point, I think I had 2, 3, 4. I think 4.
Okay. And now you have 32. So then let's say you're doing velocity banking. How did infinite banking tie into this? Where were you like, wait a second, there's something missing here. This is a really great tool. Could have done well without it, but what was, or with it and without even infinite banking, but what was like, hey, I could tweak this a little more and I could do something else. What drew you to that?
So when Denzel was talking about that, I really didn't understand what that was. But then after we had our conversation and then I moved away, I was still learning about it. And then when I came upon your card, that's when I realized that is the business that you were in, was the whole life policies. Yeah. And so that's when I started to educate myself on how those worked, because my perception on what those were was probably the same as most, where there's really no cash value up front and it's strictly for, death. Yeah. And so as I started to learn more about it, I started to understand that it can be used as a savings tool, not necessarily an investment, but a savings tool to put your excess cash into to build wealth. And so over time, I even transitioned my 401k funds into those policies. Yeah. So you move that because you're now a full-time business owner, right? You have 32 properties, right? So 38 doors total. And I also manage 3 Airbnbs. So you're busy now. You don't even need a full time. You needed to almost leave the day job to be able to build this, right? Yes. And now, how quickly, when you started the policies, you started the infinite banking. This is working, but you wanted to have a retirement plan as well as access to capital. How quickly did you use the policies loan provision when you started? The Foresters one was the first one we did. And I'm trying to think of what the first loan I took out. It definitely was to purchase a property. So basically it's to get that 20% down payment to use it. And so you just have to factor in the payment of the loan, as well as the payment of your mortgage and all the other costs that come with the property. As long as you know your numbers and the math works, then it can be done. You just have to understand the numbers.
And why would you use a policy loan versus maybe the line of credit idea?
So the policy loan, because your money is still going to be growing as you take out that loan. But again, it's whatever works best for you. Sometimes it may be better to take out a loan.
Yeah.
You just have to understand what the numbers are.
Yeah. And sometimes it's all about the interest rate, right? So
exactly.
Sometimes if it's 6 or 5% simple interest versus 17, or you're not going to pay that as fast, right? We might use the policy.
Right.
Right. And because it is how interest is calculated is really, really important. Take us to, I think there's another spreadsheet, right? We have 3 of them that we're going to show.
Yes.
So this is how infinite or velocity banking works, as how Mickey does velocity banking, and tracking everything is a very big deal, right? And so not everybody likes numbers. So if you like velocity banking and you don't like numbers, or you think you like velocity banking but you don't want to do tracking, maybe that's not the way to go for you.
Yeah, and before I get into this next one, let me preface this with saying that I am by no means an expert on Excel. I know just enough to get it done. So I'm sure there are much more fancier ways to do this, but for the purposes that I'm doing, this does work pretty well. So what I'm going to walk you through right now is 2 policies that I have. And this is going to be the repayment schedule of the loans that I have on the policies. So this column here is going to be your month. And this is a payment right here that I'm paying to Security Mutual. And then here's the withdrawals, and then here's my loan balance. So right here, this loan today is $111,000. I make a $2,000 payment on that every month. And then I also take out withdrawals that are very fixed, which means, and those withdrawals are going to be property taxes and homeowners insurance that I pay. So I pull out money here, but I'm paying the money through here. And then over time, you can see how that balance is going to go down.
Why would you save for taxes in a policy?
It's easier to plan to pay this in one lump sum rather than put that expense into the other spreadsheet that I showed you, which was basically your daily operational costs.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of preference for me, because those are larger dollar costs, and I can plan them out here, and I can see how the balance is going to go over time. So this column over here, this is another policy, and this is the payment that I make. And then this is today's balance. So I have a loan balance of $23,000 here, $111,000 here. I pay $3,500 a month on this one. And as you can see, as of January of 2026, this one is scheduled to be paid off. So I'm going to take that $3,500 that I'm paying over here. I'm going to move it over here to then pay $5,500 a month. And as you can see over time, by January of 2027, it will go down to $87,000.
And this is just the loan. What I like to think about too is that they call this the and asset, right? Meaning you said you had about 38 properties, right?
Yes.
These are like 2 additional properties that you have. They just don't happen to be houses. You are the house, right? Correct. And as you leverage, you can use that as a line of credit, and it's getting rich while paying taxes, meaning you're able to put it through, have something, and then let's say something happens. I know you have, I think, how many kids? And
I have one daughter.
One daughter.
Yep.
if something happens to you, having that death benefit to take care of these things is really important, right? Because we have the properties, we want to make sure that we are beginning with the end in mind. So that's one of the reasons I love the properties or the policies, is because you're able to leverage and use it. And you also have disciplined times that you're taking a loan, but you're also, as Nelson Nash says, you're not stealing the peas from your grocery store. You are being a disciplined saver back to your bank.
Exactly.
And I love that you have this. I share this all the time with people, and I'm like, you have to figure out what works for you. But you've figured it out, and I don't know where the Excel sheet, maybe it was from us, but those sheets help you to then map out the future that you want. And so what I love, again, Mickey, is you went from the future you wanted. When we started in 2020, you were like, hey, I want to leave my day job. I want to do this. And you actually did the work to do it. And there's a lot of work, right? It's not easy, but it was work to have the goals and the financial freedom that you want. Now, let's go to any other things you want to share on this one.
No, I think I'm good. Cool. We're going to go to the property analysis.
Yeah. So this is where I feel like a lot of people get this wrong. They hear on TikTok and YouTube, they hear on social media that if they just buy a real estate property, they'll be rich. Right? That's what I hear all the time. But you need to analyze the numbers, and not all properties are good, right? Not all properties are worth buying, and a lot of people get into problems because they didn't do the math. They didn't do their due diligence. They were sold something, and they were like, "Oh, this is going to be great." But you, in this instance, let me pull this up here. This is how you analyze a property. And this is a deep dive that you did on each property before you buy it, right?
Yes. Now, I will say I did not create this. I don't even recall where I got it from, but it's a simple one page. And all of the numbers in blue are what you can change. Mm-hmm. So basically, I'll walk you through it. So the tab says 97. So this property here is for $90,000.
Okay.
And so interest rate of 7%. So I can change that number. So I know that at 20% down, I need to have $18,000. You're going to have a loan amount of $72,000. Okay.
Yep.
So let's jump to the top. So I'm predicting that I can rent this property out for $1,075. And I know this because I have properties that are similar to this one, and this is the rents that I'm getting. So your annual tax.
So you're using, not just hoping, you have some data to back up the rent, not just saying, oh yeah, well, maybe it's going to rent.
This number, yes, this number is based upon education that I currently have and for current rents that I have, that I'm pretty sure that this property will rent for $1,075. So yep. Annually, $12,900. Your yearly tax, that is a fixed number. You can go to the county website to find out what the taxes currently are on that house. So that number is going to be fixed. That's true. Yearly insurance, this one is going to move around, but I put that number in based upon, again, other policies that I have on other properties that are similar. So I know that that number is going to be pretty solid. So then you have it breaks it down by month. So your tax here by month, insurance by month. You can factor in vacancy rate and your total monthly payment. And so basically, after you pay your bills, so down here, I know that I'm going to pay the water bill. So the tenants are going to pay all those other costs. Now, the way this lease is going to work is the tenant is going to pay for gas, electric, and they're going to cut the grass, and they're going to do their own snow, and they're going to pay for their own trash. So the only other cost is the water bill. So when you add all those together, your monthly payment is going to be here, $479. After you pay everything out, your cash flow is going to be $329.22. And then just to restate this whole thing, I added this down here just to make it look cleaner.
Yeah.
Principal, your P&I is right here, $479.02. Taxes, insurance. Again, we're not paying electric or gas. We have a water bill. Total expenses are going to be $745.79. Your total rent is $1,075. Your cash flow is $329.21. So based upon these numbers, I would say that this could be potentially a good deal.
What would make it a really good deal, and what would make it a bad deal?
So that's very subjective. I kind of go off of the $300 a month minimum cash flow, but that's subject to change. And that's, there's all kinds of things that are involved in that, but that's a good first start rule of thumb to have.
If you're wanting it for cash flow, then we want to have cash flow, right?
Correct.
If you're building for maybe, I don't know, you overpay your mortgage, and it's a friend that's staying there. Then there's other kinds of wealth, right? Maybe that I might think about. But if you're lowering the rent because you want to be a good person to your, somebody, well, then that's going to cost you, right?
Right.
So that's something I like to think about.
One other thing to note here. So up here, your property management, that could be a cost.
Mm-hmm.
If you have to pay that, then your cash flow is going to be $237.84. Mm-hmm. Now, the other things that I did not account for here is I did not account for repairs, and I did not account for vacancy rate, because those things are, you can have a percentage that you can add in there just to be safe. But for the purposes of just knowing your fixed costs and your fixed income, this number is going to be solid.
It's like a back of the napkin kind of
correct
kind of thing. And then
correct. This does not account for vacancy. And the philosophy that I have is I want to be 100% full at all times. Mm-hmm. My vacancy rate is very, very low. And that's maybe a call for another story, but you have to properly vet the people that you're going to have living in your houses to make it successful. So that's for another day. But rule of thumb here, $329 a month, that's good cash flow.
Well, and again, this is why I wanted, when you were showing me this offline, I really wanted to share with our people on here. And again, if you're on the podcast, go to the video, because people always ask, how can I get there? What do I need to do? And you have, right? And you're moving in that direction, but you analyze the numbers, but also you just mentioned there's variables that are people variables, that you have to do some other work maybe to make sure that these aren't just going to be like, I don't know, homeless people squatting in your house or something, or doing all kinds of vandalism or things like that. So,
property management is not for the faint of heart, but your success is going to be based upon your ability to vet and get the right people in place. Now, it's not going to work 100% of the time, but if you can do a good job of that, I promise it'll make your life a lot easier.
Yeah. And I think as you guys are working, reach out to Mickey or us. We have this little template here, and make it your own, right? But these tools are really important. But if you're going in and saying, I want to be a real estate investor, and you don't do your numbers, you don't do your due diligence, and then you end up buying a property, or you hire a property manager who is, or even somebody to fix up your house, and they kind of took your money and went and spent it on other things. Well, that's on you, right? And so by using these kind of tools, you are the master of your ship, and that's one of the things that I think is important for all of us, is understanding, your own numbers and your own goals. So where do you want to go from here, Mickey? I mean, you went from 2 properties in 5 years to what do you say, 38? Where do you want to go? You're gonna like buy hotels or sell those and I don't know. I'm just thinking monopoly here.
Yeah. I don't have a really set goal in mind, but continuing to scale is definitely the goal. I can tell you that single family properties are always a good deal. Personally, in the book of business that I have, I can tell you that the biggest cash flow is coming from the single family properties.
And that's because it, right? You understand single family.
Yep.
So maybe somebody else might be like, I like duplexes or something else because they might know it, right? So
right. Yeah, I have a good mix of fourplexes, duplexes, and houses. So I'm probably going to stick with those. I would go bigger, but yeah, the goal is definitely to keep on scaling.
And if I remember correctly, you pretty much own houses in the same geographic area or even the same street.
So actually, on one street, I own 3 fourplexes, 1 duplex, and a single family home. That's on a cul-de-sac. So I basically have that whole block. And then I own, on another street, 2 houses. On another street, I have 2 fourplexes and a duplex. And then on another street, I have a 4plex and a single house. So I like to keep my properties in bunches.
Yeah, and close, right? You didn't just buy properties in another state. You bought it close to where you're at. So when are they going to change the street name to Kurt Alley or something like that?
I'm not sure.
I don't know. I was wondering if they're going to be like, I don't know, Mickey Lane or something. Right. You never know. They might do that.
Maybe.
You're the mayor of that street, right? So anything you want to leave the guest today, anything you want to share about even the policies or how you've worked with Wealth Wisdom Financial along the way, anything that you want to say, hey, I want to make sure I share this today?
If there's one thing that I want to impress is that you must understand your numbers. You must understand all the revenue coming in, all the expenses going out, and I would encourage you to map it out the way that I did so you can forecast accordingly. Once you understand your numbers, you're able to make informed decisions very objectively.
Yeah. That is great. And why I love Profit First and infinite banking and all of those things. And not just knowing your numbers, but knowing yourself. What are your goals? And I think Mickey, again, we've had countless conversations about his goals of wanting to go from 10, 15 houses to the amount that he has now and having to make that jump. Right. I remember for you a couple of years back, you were like a little terrified of saying, hey, is it good? Should I do this? Or I also had the conversation and you were talking about buying another business or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, you know what you're doing. Know your lane and really dive into that. And that's what I'm so proud of for you, is like, you've really nailed in, and it shows, right?
Yeah. I mean, the leap to leave the W-2 job is definitely not easy. I was at the same job for 16 years. And the job before that I had for 8 years. And so that's what I was used to. But again, by planning this out over time, I was able to map out ahead of time where I thought I would be based upon fixed numbers that I knew that I could achieve. Yep. And after I saw it on the spreadsheet, it made it possible to do it. And then at that point, all you have to do is just take that leap.
Yeah. And that requires being able to be strategic and understanding, but also at some point you just got to make the jump.
Right.
And that is a hard thing to do, especially as analytical people, of saying, okay, everything's perfect now, and it's not always going to be perfect. Things happen, floods happen, interest rates have gone up, right? And I'm sure with even your data, you've been able to say, hey, I want to refinance a property. You've probably thought about that. And I know you've talked to our mortgage guy a few times to say, hey, is this a good time to do this?
Right.
And so always going back and tweaking. We're never done. So, well, thanks, Mickey, for joining us. You guys, this was a great treat. I mean, literally seeing the spreadsheets is important. And if you want to break through to a smart, stable financial future, one is, as Mickey said, know your numbers. And if you don't know your numbers, get with people that can help you know your numbers. With that, thanks again for joining us. Don't forget, hit that like, subscribe, write comments in there. If you like this kind of content, let us know. We'll try and do more spreadsheets. It is a lot of work to create these spreadsheets. So that's why it takes a lot of effort. People are like, yeah, well, you just need to do more. I'm like, it's a lot more work than you think. Yeah. So with that, you guys have a great day, and we will see you next time.